Well, yeah, there's that.
All right, so welcome to the F Movie Podcast.
Still the same thing.
I don't know.
It is not. It's totally different.
I do it exactly.
I am your host today, Price the Magnificent. On my right, I have Nathan Freshcut Johnson, Dylan Glasses Johnson, and Mason Johnson II.
You don't have glasses.
Well, you don't get that title. That's his honorific title. Today we have, guess what? Another Tom Hardy movie we're talking about.
Oh.
I mean, if we're talking about a movie, it's going to be animated. It's probably going to have Scorsese, Tom Hardy, and some teenage drama in it in some capacity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's pretty much our show at this point. So we're hitting one of those marks today with Tom Hardy, and guess who picked it? This guy right here. So tell us, what are we reviewing today?
We're watching Bronson. To nobody's surprise, I picked a Tom Hardy film, and I'll get you the synopsis now.
Okay, he's delegated himself.
Okay.
Dylan, can you give us a recap of what the movie is about?
Sure. So it goes over the story of Charles Bronson, the criminal, which is now, I think, Charles Salvador, as most recently.
He's still alive?
Yeah, he's
Yeah, he
definitely
is.
still alive. I checked his wiki literally just beforehand. Anyway,
That pisses me off so much. That
so
makes me mad.
it is not really a documentary, but a movie with Tom Hardy acting as Charles Bronson, which is
It's a
Britain's
play with
most
a clown, right?
yeah, kind of. I mean, yeah.
It's a stage performance.
Yeah,
with a guy
it's
dressed
a
up
lovely
like
stage
clown.
performance. It's essentially Joker, the movie Joker.
Uh-huh.
from-
Yeah, it's really similar. I
Yeah.
never thought about that comparison. Yeah.
But it's covering UK, Britain's most violent criminal, and how he destroys the judicial system. If you want a really, really quick synopsis, Tom Hardy as Charles Bronson kidnaps somebody, fights the guards, and then does that several more
And
times.
gets thrown into solitary.
Yeah.
And
Like,
that's all the movie.
cycle. Just
Rinse, repeat.
Over and over.
Rinse, repeat.
Yeah, that's most of it.
Yeah, pretty much so.
I mean, I'll admit that. That's my pick.
Well, you forgot one of the other key things.
Oh,
Is
he hangs-
he removes all of his clothes.
Oh, he gets
every
naked.
time.
He hangs dong, and that will
All
reflect
the
in my
time.
score.
There's a lot of hanging dong. All right, so besides the dong, we can hit that now or later if you all want. But
Shoot, throw
what's-
me with a good time.
So what's everybody think of it? What did everybody think of the Naked Man Bronson
Overexposure.
played by Tom Hardy? Okay.
I love
What?
how there's like, I think it's one of the first times that he gets naked. The camera is panning down, and like in most movies, it would stop before the big reveal.
Nope.
But this one continues down just far enough to where it makes sure you've got a good shot
Of the package.
of everything.
Nice stick, bro. That's the reviews right on this.
So while we're on the topic, like
Uh-huh.
I do think so. Literally, the first shot is him in a solitary cage
Yeah,
kind of
pacing
thing,
in
and
that
you're not
red
even
light.
sure what the hell he's in there for, what he's doing, if he's even in prison. I thought he was in a fight or something.
Yeah,
but-
well, again, because
Not
we thought
technically
that this
wrong.
was going to be
Exactly.
a boxing movie.
Exactly.
Because
That's what we were told.
Not true at all.
But the
It's
thing
not
is,
that
with
at all.
with that first scene, like with the lighting and everything, the nudity is very subtle. Like you can barely even tell. I thought he
Yeah.
actually had pants on, but I wasn't entirely sure. And I thought that was fine to open a movie like that. Like that's I don't know what I'm getting myself into.
Minimal amount of
Anyway,
dong, you know?
Yeah. But then it's over again.
Just-
and then he shows it.
Just
again.
like an American, I can watch as much blood and gore and people dying. You put one booby, you put one testicle on that screen.
Get this European trash
Get it
out of
Get it
here!
out of here.
Yeah.
At one point, he literally eats a dog off screen, implied. But, and I never blinked an eye at that. But that dong blinked an eye at me, and I got a problem with that. That's how I feel about this movie. Also says Mason, who made us watch Captain Fantastic, where he hangs dong way more than Tom Hardy does. In that
Are you
movie.
kidding?
No.
No. Minute per minute? No.
Okay, we are a professional podcast group here. We're
Uh-huh.
going past the dong.
Uh-huh.
It's hard, but we're going past it. So let's get into actual
Yeah.
Okay.
the meat and
Well,
potatoes.
I
or
just
what-
keep digging
There's a
myself
lot
deeper
of
into
innuendos
the
you
penis
just
I'm
read.
trying.
Yeah.
It's
I
hard.
do-
Let's get into the meat.
Uh-huh.
And potatoes.
Nathan's trying to talk here, boys.
All right.
I do have something that I want to bring up, which is this movie to me had a lot of similarities. I feel like to A Clockwork Orange.
Never
Did
seen
you
it.
get that vibe?
Yeah,
while you
there's
were
that.
watching
There's
it?
that kind of weird, like not dystopian tone to it, but the soundtrack and the
It's-
the way it's shot very much reminds me of.
Yeah,
it.
it's very like angsty, like the world's just like falling apart and you're just kind of riding the chaos kind of thing.
Right, like it is all about just saying how fucking bad things can get. Like it is just one of those movies.
And like the part where he's in the mental hospital and it's just like drooling as he's watching a TV screen and stuff like that. Like in so many ways, and especially this movie, and I'm not sure why, I would wonder if there's any like real world reason why this happens. This movie has Bronson on stage dressed up as a clown, playing out various bits of his life to an audience of like rich people, and that also like there's not really like a direct correlation to Clockwork Orange, but that had Clockwork Orange vibes all over it.
Yeah, that was my favorite part of the movie. I would say.
I thought that stuff was
that
cool.
Was the
interesting?
I'm saying
sure.
just the play part for me. I very much enjoyed him when he did
the
side to side.
No.
Yeah, I really like that, and him just like acting on that stage to kind of like show us like the symbolism and stuff they're going for with this, like what his mental state is, what he thinks of like society at large. But that was really one of the only things I really enjoyed about it.
There it is.
Can I
But
tag in too?
You're tag in.
So this movie, I enjoyed a few things. Okay, the two things that you guys just said, the way that he was presenting himself to that rich audience, it was obviously like symbolic, and that's kind of how he felt his whole life was being perceived, I guess. I liked that. I liked that they did that, and it wasn't super tough to figure that out, and it wasn't so easy either, I guess. But that, I liked the outfits that they gave him throughout the movie.
I love it when he has the he does.
Yeah.
Oh, the glasses when he's doing the art.
The art, the art outfit is by far
That
the
was
best.
the
outfit.
best thing in the world with that mustache. He looked like one of those Studio Ghibli type characters.
Yes, he
Yeah,
The
does.
one with that's flying the airplane or whatever.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Anyways, I like that, and I've never seen A Clockwork Orange, but I did like the
Haven't either.
filming style, so I guess that's what that's from.
Yeah, this movie's interesting, right? Because it films and feels, other than Tom Hardy, feels like an indie flick through, like as it's presented, right? It feels very much like this is like something that would be under like the radar at a film festival or something.
This is too in your face to be an indie.
Right,
film.
but then you get to
Way
the
too
content
in your
of it,
face.
right? And that's where it's like, oop, and we're a little bit more.
I mean, I thought that it was like rugged and very rash and very like. This movie just held onto your throat basically the whole time, and I didn't like that at all.
Yeah.
Made me feel
Well,
uncomfortable.
it always like had the threat of violence ever present.
Always.
So
Like,
it is always when is
the-
when is it gonna drop, right?
the like even the on stage parts where he would just get like irrationally angry for brief flashes and things like that, like it was always meant to keep you on the edge of your seat, which again goes back to the Clockwork Orange comparison, where like the characters in that are so irrationally violent that you always feel like at any moment they're just gonna murder somebody as they're walking down the street, and that's what this Bronson character was.
Yeah.
See, my main thing I did not like about this movie is the villain and how they're presented. And the villain is the main character. A lot of my favorite things have like the like gray character that's kind of leaning towards evil. Like Breaking Bad, I think, is the best example of that for me. Like if it's a gray character, I can kind of go with. Like I can go with like looking at Walter White and having a whole thing go with him. But Bronson is just so like obviously like villainous, and there's not like any depth to his character, and all you're doing is watching Tom Hardy act as Bronson the entire time. Comparisons I can think of, like Voss from Far Cry 3, like that is like the textbook definition for me of like the villain does not need a ton of screen time in order to do their job. It's nice when they do, but they can be just as effective with little screen time. And also in the cinema sense, Joker from Dark Knight, like he's one of the most iconic villains, but he's in the movie a lot, but he's the most memorable thing from that movie, but he's not in it the entire time. And this one, you were watching this guy the whole time, and I just got exhausted, like just watching him and getting very tired of Tom Hardy by the end of it. Like, I get that he's a great actor and he's doing a lot of method acting and stuff, but man, I got so exhausted with him. Kind of like Mad Max, I just got exhausted. And Tom Hardy's in both.
Well, and to me, the interesting thing about this movie is the fact that it's based on a real person. So that's where you always end up running into the problem of like, because this is based on a real person and they're trying to like be that real person and act that whole thing out, and it's all based around them, you can end up with a movie where you feel like, why am I watching the villain the entire time? But there's not like it's about the villain. It's about this person who happens to be this just psychotic, dangerous British prisoner.
So to Price's point, like talking about how much Tom Hardy was talking and just how irrational he was and how you were basically stuck with him the whole movie. Honest to God, my favorite part of the whole movie was when he was in the funny farm is when he said it.
That's like my least favorite part of the whole
I know,
movie,
but
too.
the thing is, whenever he was drooling and like that other guy was talking, I actually enjoyed that part because it actually gave some dialogue or monologue to someone else, and then Tom Hardy still managed to just grunt at him in the most obnoxious way, and I was like, oh my gosh.
You hire Tom Hardy to grunt, though, man. Like that's
Yeah, he grunted so well, I guess.
Yeah. So these other characters that he interacts with to some capacity in the movie definitely seem very interesting, and like there's a lot more from them.
Yep.
Like that character that you mentioned that's like talking to him about a way to get out and everything.
Yeah.
You feel like he's going to be quite a bit more than what he actually is.
Yeah.
Because Tom Hardy just kills him.
Yeah.
And like unceremoniously.
Well, attempts to kill him. He doesn't actually end up killing him because otherwise he would have gone to jail for it.
That's right. Yeah.
And
Because
then
that's what he was.
He was
hoping
really
to do.
upset about it too.
Yeah.
Then the warden was cool too.
Oh yeah, the last warden. Or
Yeah,
the last
whatever
one
the
on
art house was, but like the main supervisor.
Well,
of
and then
that.
there was also that character that, for the brief stint that he was out of prison, was like just lining up street brawls.
Oh yeah, the guy who was smoking from that one thing, and then like,
That's who I was gonna say. Like I thought he was
he-
gonna be like a bigger part and learn more about him, and you just didn't.
Yeah, this movie has the very touch and go feeling of giving you interesting characters and only giving you a little bit of interesting stuff for them to do. They kind of just they're very much just stepping stones for like to project Bronson into the next part of like this movie. Like, all right, you give him here, he meets this character, they put him into fighting. It's just Bronson fighting now. You don't even see the character that introduces him anymore, which I think is one of the biggest flaws because the movie definitely does have. While Bronson is entertaining, he is also not as interesting as some of the other characters around him, and that's by design. You know, these ones get just be more flamboyant and extra. Like he goes to his uncle's house to stay, but then they never do anything with it. They're just to show that he's eccentric and looks like he's having weird sex parties and stuff like that.
Oh,
That was so many things that happen in this movie. It's just like some weird side thing where it's like,
Right. It's like
a
we
dead
can be
end.
so much more with this that we can't be with the main character because the main character is a real person that we're trying to portray. So we just try and be extra in other ways.
It feels like every other character is a movie character, and Bronson is written as Bronson. And to be fair, like Hardy,
and that's
Bronson, and
what
director
Hardy was
all-
trying to do, was to be that person.
Yeah, that was by design, and he had several talks with Charlie and thing, which is really funny post interviews afterwards that I'll talk off screen with. But like he would talk with him, and he had like long talks with him, and kind of to really get into that character, which is interesting. I thought that was really cool that he actually got to see like have one for one with him on that. But yeah, overall, it's like. This movie shows its hand very early in the film, and you either stay entertained with it as it continues to kind of hit the same notes, or you probably drop off. And I didn't expect any of you guys to hang on to it per se. Not necessarily because, again...
So I picked
because
it
we
everyone.
told us that it was a boxing movie, and then we quickly found out that
you
it
all
wasn't.
just leaped in to assume that it was a boxing movie. I definitely never
3
said
on
it.
1 saying you did.
You're all
said-
wrong. No.
you said the
I can tell you.
UK's boxing.
I can tell you the exact conversation because the context was I said it was a crime movie. You guys all groaned and said, "God, another Scorsese movie." And I said, "No, it's not crime in that way. It's just a guy kind of committing crimes and doing stuff and going in and out of jail."
So you never said box.
Never once said
Oh,
boxing.
okay.
And you guys are fucking ridiculous for
All
thinking
three of us
No.
heard boxer.
We heard
UK's
boxing.
boxer.
You know what? The proof's on you guys. And there's no footage. There's no camera. And
Yep, you're
there
just
you go.
outnumbered.
I don't. We'll have to see on the previous episode when you announce.
Check it.
if you mention.
Check it. Clip that shit. Prove me wrong. In the meantime, I'm right. So,
I'm 0 for 1 on
This feels
those.
like Roger Wave 2 weeks ago.
Cowabunga, dude.
anyway.
no.
Uh,
That's not a good sign, friend.
yeah, no, this... Yeah, I'll say this, though. Like, the movie... This is a weird movie, though, because I didn't necessarily pick it as, like, a favorable one. This was one that I remember
That's
thinking...
fair. I like those picks.
Yeah, I was like, this is a movie
That's
I remember...
all my picks.
It's true.
Every one of them.
Exclusively Nathan's picks. I remember thinking, I was like, this was a movie that I wanted to come back to because it had entertaining parts, and I definitely want to touch
did.
on one of my favorite parts, which is obviously The part where he kidnaps the librarian.
Oh yeah.
That is all right.
The butter.
Yeah.
The butter.
The butter part. I love where he just comes in all chipper, and at this point Bronson had been pretty tame. Like he hadn't been in a fight for like 5 minutes, which is pretty good for this movie. So,
Maybe 5 minutes.
Maybe 5 minutes, right? Listen, I like this movie, but I'm aware to its flaws and its repetition to it. So he's like 5 minutes without a fight, right? Which is very rare for this movie. And the librarian comes in, and he's like, "Oh, I've got this, and you just see him close the door, and I'm like, here we go, fight number 7. And as he's pulling off his belt, you're like, oh, this has never gotten sexual before, and he's gotten really nude. I'm like, is he gonna? Oh God, don't do this to this poor man. And like the librarian is just, sit the fuck down. And then he's down, and then I love how he just casually gets the phone, like just open the door.
Are you recreating this entire scene for us?
No, just for this one part, right?
Please.
Well, he missed the part where the guy started to sit down on like the bed or
Yeah.
something.
Oh,
and
sit
he
on the
This
shouted
toilet.
out.
doesn't matter. We're not doing this shot for shot.
Anyway, so just the part I think does so much about explaining the whole movie, right? So the guy's handing the telephone, which already says so much about his touch and go. Like they're willing to hand it in, and him's not gonna like rip the arm off. He gets the telephone. What do you want, Charlie? What do you got? And he just has no idea. You can tell that this is a man that is just like, I just wanted to do this because I wanted to do this. And that at its core is the whole movie, but it's at its best on this scene because it just tells all of it.
Well, you
And
see the same scene about 5 different times.
You do. You definitely
I'm not
do.
talking this exact one. Like it's a different hostage. It's a different
Hostage,
fight with
different
guards.
group of guards.
It's one of the
sometimes.
funnier
So-
times
Yes.
that happens.
Yeah.
Like, it's a really funny scene.
Yeah.
it is funny.
It is. And, I mean, just that quick interaction with him making the librarian butter, I'm like, it's just fucking funny. Like, this is the one that has the most humor, and he's like, come on in! And, you know, he's just sliding off, and I'm just, you kind of have to laugh at it at this point. You're like, this is the second or third time you've seen him get greased up, and you're like, oh my god,
Well,
again?
and he's so unsuccessful.
Yeah, it
like he
never
throws
works.
like 1 or 2 punches, maybe,
Yeah.
and then he just gets like
And then he gets
picked up
picked
by
up,
all of them. Like,
tased, beat to death.
He's the little guy in high school that only stood about 5'4", but
Yeah.
would just get into fights just to put some fights under his belt.
Yep.
He wouldn't
Yep.
let him.
You know what? But that's honestly though, that's jail culture in a nutshell. Like he went out to be like this biggest bad dog, and instead of ever it never really showed him fighting other inmates, which I thought was the interesting part. And I think they just idolized him at this point because instead of fighting each other, he was always fighting the jail.
Which
and then it was
brings
just
me to my next. Like this movie, the reason why I guess it is a biop, or it's a sort
it's
of
a pseudo biopic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why did he keep getting off so easy? Like if you assault a police officer, which I understand that the deputies and the jailers are different.
They kept throwing him in the hole.
They
That's
threw
the
him in the
worst
hole.
you can do.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
really can't get worse than that.
They
at
went
that
to
point.
a mental facility though, and they just basically gave him a drug that made him drool and not speak.
Which I will
Like
attest
I don't
to. That is what they
understand.
do.
Like this is what the 60s or 70s. Like
Yeah.
were lobotomies or like any of that stuff? Were they on their way out? Like what's going
No,
on?
lobotomies were all in their way until the 80s, but
I just don't.
But that
get-
was more American culture, to be fair, though. That's not
I,
for
like something about the poster says something like 60 years in jail, blah blah, 30
Yeah.
years in solitary confinement. But why didn't they just like?
Why didn't they
execute
kill him?
him?
Why didn't they?
Yeah,
Well,
the conservative in Mason coming out.
There it is.
Just
He
kill
is
him.
Vote red.
He is literally causing more damage.
You're right.
Every moment that he's not in a
But-
solitary confinement.
That's the criminal justice system in a nutshell.
Yeah.
If
Well,
anything,
and the thing is, like, he didn't do anything that warranted the death penalty.
Sure,
yeah.
he just had a kidnapping.
it was just
but, like,
continual
4
kidnapping
times.
and assaults.
I don't care.
Mason, so if a man steals a candy bar from a store,
We're
no
not
death
getting
penalty.
into ethics here. I already know exactly.
But when
where
they
you're
steal it for the 9th time in a row, you got to kill them.
going. All right, we're getting.
Honestly, like, come on.
9 cereal bars. Mason.
Are there any assaulting of the deputy jailers into that scheme?
Yes, every time.
That puts a lot more to it.
Sorry, that's their job.
Are
They
you
signed
gonna
up
want
for
to
it.
go into a solitary confinement
Does
cell?
anyone have like any substantive final thoughts about the movie?
I was so mad.
I'm trying to think.
I was so mad.
All right,
no.
Dylan's coming up.
There's one. There's one.
Okay.
I want to get into.
thought you were gonna do a joke.
We have that new segment too.
Yeah, we'll get to that segment. No, that's next movie because this is still in a segment.
Yeah.
We don't want to introduce a random new segment in the middle of the last part of the cycle.
Speaking of segments, as the sound guy on this, I detested how the editing of the volume on this Like
Sound
it would
guys
get
and
so
critiquing sound
it would
guys.
get so loud and so quiet, and I hate that so much in movies. When
Yeah.
like I have to turn it up, I can't hear them. I got subtitles on, and then like
Yeah,
something happens.
I do
and,
recall that.
"Bah!" Like,
Yeah.
well, that's gonna wake up my
Like the
roommate.
audio levels were all over the place with this.
I
thing.
hate that so much. In
I do
movies.
not like that.
We'll
for
speak
movies.
about that on the next video, Nathan.
Yeah, yeah.
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 That's,
Oh,
that's the
yeah.
one that messed with me, not this one.
Yeah, that's fair.
But go ahead,
Just a
Dylan.
little.
Go ahead and
So
finalize it.
I think my last closing thought that I want to ever touch on is just his relationships in general and how I thought that this was an interesting bit because it's really at any point the only times that he's ever not being just a rabid dog is whenever he's trying like he falls in love, right? Like I mean the first time objectively is how he got there to begin with. Yeah, he he gets the ring, which is I think another probably one of my other favorite scenes in this one. Just is like I got this. Well, I mean, thank you. I'm engaged to my boyfriend. And you just know he's just going back to jail again after that. Like,
Put that guy's face through like the glass thing and
So-
just fucking mess. Like that's what I'm talking about. Like this guy is obviously violent. Like
Yeah.
why is he on the street?
But
Why
there-
does he keep getting released?
You know
I don't
what?
Fucking get it.
wonderful talk about how we should do our prison reform and criminal justice.
Defund
system
the
on
police.
Defund it. So.
And that just lost all of you. Thank you.
Why do we have an all Republican viewership, Mason? Mason's like, it's just me voting. It's just me. I'm not watching this video now. But anyway, I liked how the relationships were done because it felt so like shallow to the point, but it was interesting seeing just that little bit of degree of Bronson actually having like a heart and something more than just being a wild animal to fight with. I don't know. I thought it was interesting. Not really a whole lot more to add on to that though. It doesn't go deep. There's not a deep relationship. So
Yeah, I feel like it's interesting just to know that there are people like this in the world.
Yep.
That some humans are just wired a little wrong. And
Let me
there's
use
not
my
real
use my
fixing it.
let me use my criminology degree for the first and only time. You're right. That's it.
He laid it all out for you.
There's
You're
my
right.
degree.
let
You're
me.
right.
Is it a bachelor's or an
All right,
associate's?
forget that. We're not getting on that now. But bachelors. So we're gonna get to our next segment: fat, thin, or perfectly fit.
You did it so well.
We could call it fat, thin, or just Tom Hardy.
Why are you butchering it now?
Because Tom Hardy's perfectly fit.
I mean, he's looking pretty good in this.
This
It,
is-
it also had a back shot of him.
Oh
like-
man, the back shots are
those
intense,
traps?
dude.
Yeah,
Fucking-
dude.
Hardy's got traps for
I mean,
days,
I thought
dude.
Warrior was like his one movie. He had the traps. This one, he
No,
still
this
had
was
the traps.
after Warrior,
It
right
was.
before Bane.
Okay.
This was 2011, I think.
Goodness,
So
his
this was the
poor-
movie. Yeah, this
His
was
poor
his,
back.
Oh my god, I know. Literally carrying movies on his back for those
Oh,
traps. Oh gosh.
But you've seen this segment. You know this segment. But we're gonna say it again because Dylan always does. Thin, you wanted more of the movie. Fat, there's too much of the movie. Fit, it was just where it needed to be. There you go. That's it. And we'll start with
All right.
Nathan.
I'm gonna have to call this movie fat, because it keeps running over the same bit multiple times. Now, which one needs to be cut? I don't know.
Take your pick.
What's your least favorite time you fought with the
You
guards?
close your eyes and throw a dart at a dartboard.
You could pretty much remove any given scene, and this movie's still going to kind of tell the story that it's trying to tell just fine, I think. So, yeah, I mean, I can't call it fit because you could take stuff out of this and it'd be just fine.
I totally agree with Nathan. Every point he made is exactly the one I would make. It is fat. You could take out almost any scene. The only scenes I think that would kind of need to stay are maybe like his relationship with his like girlfriend / wife or whatever.
Or even the mom
Maybe.
scenes as well.
Or even the mom scenes, yeah, because it kind of shows like why he is the way he is because they just enabled. Well, I mean, it's not totally on them, of course, but they
Yeah.
did enable the behavior.
I don't know, dude. Like he got into that fight in the schoolyard, and then his mom just answered the door with
Charlie.
Damn it, Charlie!
yeah.
Closes door on
Yeah.
the principal. Like, all right, cool. That's a great.
Zero
parent.
repercussions, right?
Yeah,
That's all.
super good.
Has always been the thing for him. Yeah, it is a fat movie. It is. I like this movie, and it's a fat movie. I'll say though, I'm not really sure what scenes I take out. It has to be like just some of like the jail scenes. I honestly want to take out some of the time where he's in the funny farm because that's just the part.
He's there a while.
I felt like that part dragged. Honestly,
yeah.
I'd take a chunk out of that, but it's also like the more interesting juxtaposition on like.
There are really good parts in it.
Yeah, there are good
the
parts,
whole
but yeah, and I think that sums up most of Bronson's problems in a nutshell. There's good parts in it, but they Quentin Tarantino. They kind of go on for a little bit longer than they need to in the scenes. So,
dude, I'm gonna give our first non-applicable on this because like I love the funny farm. I love that part because it had that weird dance scene. It gave me something that wasn't him in a jail
I forgot
cell.
about that. Like, why was that even there?
It gave me something other than him just beating the shit out of a SWAT team and,
or a dog.
and naked and all this stuff. It gave me that cool like drool scene with that weird guy that didn't even pan out to do anything.
oh, the pedophile.
Oh, that's what he was.
Yeah.
Oh,
I didn't catch it until the
that.
second time through. Sorry, I'm gonna interrupt. on
Second
just real
time
quick.
you watched this movie.
Well, this is the second time I've seen it, right?
Yeah.
So like, and whenever he's sitting here talking about like, oh yeah, you know, you're just like me, but you're not crazy, and then he kind of goes on and hinting at like liking younger girls, and that's when like he's like,
Oh, that's what. Yeah,
Yeah, that's what
something
triggered him
about
on
girls.
that.
Yeah.
I didn't pick that
Um,
up.
I didn't pick it up the first time. I picked it up the second time. That's why. I was like,
Also,
What's the shape of the movie, though, Mason?
non-applicable.
non-applicable.
What is that?
But
What does that mean?
He's explaining.
to give you just a little idea, so I was watching this movie, okay, and I decided to do that thing, right?
What's the thing?
You
What's the
look
thing?
at the time bar.
Oh,
Right?
that.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Oh, I've done that.
That's a bad.
I did that a lot during this movie.
38 minutes in.
yeah.
I was distraught. I was like, oh my god. And I think this is his second time in prison at that point. Maybe his first, but soon after that he got thrown back into jail. No. That's when he was talking about prisons being hotels. And he just likes to go to new hotels. And that is where I was like, holy shit. This is what I'm in for. Non-applicable. I don't know what you shave off this movie because I like the parts that you guys didn't like that much, and I detested the parts that were funny to you guys, and I didn't pair well with those. Like I didn't think that the butter part was super great.
Oh, man,
it
it's
was
the best
probably the
part.
funniest part of the movie, but
Yeah.
it's not a comedy at all.
Mason,
No.
how about you piggyback off of that little tirade right there and just
I'll
go
let
ahead
you
and
guys
give us
figure it
scores.
out.
No, give us scores. Go ahead.
Yeah.
You're already
Okay.
giving us a big chunk.
Okay.
Where are you at?
I give this movie a 5.
Yeah.
I don't.
Whoa.
Called
I
it right on
don't
the 5.
think that this movie. I
Did you
think
get
Tom Hardy
Thanks, Killing higher.
was good.
No.
No, but Brokeback Mountain was higher.
Oh, man.
I gave it a 5.5 because I saw it's topical and I saw that it was a good thing for its time.
It was.
Anyways,
That's fair.
Tom Hardy did really well in this. Like he performed very well. I just didn't fucking care. This guy, I don't see why he was even around. I don't see why they couldn't figure him out.
We want the chair.
Yeah.
We want the chair.
Seriously, lobotomy. I
Kill
don't-
this man.
Don't even tell me how you do it. Just tell me that you took care of it. Moving on, then.
I love that so much of.
Take him out to the
Man.
woodshed.
I love that.
He's my dog, Dad.
Yes.
I love that so much of Mason's score is affected by his world views on it because
Oh,
honestly,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
I
So true, though.
honestly though I'm on the same page. Like I think my interest in score is affected by my world interest in how it bleeds into this movie. This movie is a kind of fairly realistic look into the criminal justice system, at least for UK. I've never been personally, but you know, US sucks, and I'm
I
sure
feel
it's
like they're
not too
softer over there, which is fine.
There probably are. Even in America, I mean,
they
Tom Hardy
seemed
could have done
pretty
this.
soft in this movie.
Yeah, these
They
guys
didn't
were.
care that they were getting their asses beat.
Yeah,
They
every
didn't care.
single day.
They just kept going in there.
Like
and
if
getting
that
their asses
happens in
kicked.
an American prison system,
They would have paid the gangs to probably kill him at that point,
Yeah.
possibly. But I think it's an interesting look in the justice system as well as the mental health side of things as well. And you know, shocker that the therapist is going to be intrigued by that part. But you see that stuff, and I'm like, no, this is fairly accurate to the people who are just like, I don't want to use the term like mentally insane or anything like that because that's a pretty heavy term, but. In cases like this, there's just people that just are not going to be rehabilitated, right? And who do not want to be. So what do you do with them? They just cycle back and forth in this. I think that's extremely realistic. On top of the fact that I think that Charles Bronson is pretty interesting. Tom Hardy, of course, did a lot of favors for me in watching the movie. But then
Like being naked.
it's just love it. I love it. But just the thing that gets me on the rewatch on this was just the little quirky moments that I picked up on. The fact that the guy's a pedophile in the second watch, I was like, oh, that's why he's like on to him for it. Because it just felt you don't ever question his violence, right, throughout the film. And then one time it feels like it's validated, I'm like, oh, that makes so much more sense. And there's, again, the dance scene, the butter scene, just the little tiny quirks.
You
here.
missed the butter scene?
No, the butter scene.
There's no subtlety to that
The
one,
butter
brother.
scene, I remember the scene where the guy shits into his hand. I remember thinking, I forgot
God.
about that.
I thought he was gonna eat it.
I'm so glad it's still bad. It's still bad.
He was just on that forever.
Oh
you know,
god,
just-
yeah. They really want to nail it home, but I think they do, and I think they do it.
And I will say too that a lot of that kind of stuff is very realistic
Oh,
to the
yeah.
prison system. I have a friend who worked in a prison for several years, and he saw that kind of stuff. Like, he saw people cycling in and out, like homeless people, because they knew that it was a place to sleep
place to feed.
and food.
Yeah.
And they would get naked and just crap all over their cell and make just a huge mess that they would have to deal with.
Yep.
And that just happened constantly for them.
Criminology degree coming out
You're
again. He is right. Go ahead, Dylan.
I have a degree in criminology too. That's the funny thing about it. It's
You're not
bad.
bragging about it. You better start.
I don't
Yeah,
care.
come on.
It's not my master's. Who gives a shit? Like, it's all stepping stones to my master's. Anyway, long story short, so I thought that as far as presenting the real world in that one, this actually felt very real world. Other than a couple of eccentric, over-the-top, not even super over-the-top characters, all things considered. And I was entertained, but this movie does have repetitive beats, and it does feel like you get everything you need to in the first 30 minutes of the film. And
38 minutes.
Yeah, 38 exactly,
I
as it
looked.
turns out. I looked! I tell you exactly where it stopped.
That time bar, man.
Yeah, so that being said, I still give this movie a 7.5.
Jeez.
I would give it a 7.75 and a rare rating only because he hangs dong multiple times in this film, and I always respect the score for that.
Well, I'm going along with, we're doing like He Was Me and Ride Your Wave, and I'm going to jump on this train that I'm sure they're going to be on.
Yeah, everybody's gonna
and
go on this train.
I was not a fan of this movie. It just got so repetitive. I know we keep saying that over and over, but it was. Like,
It's kind of ironic that we're repetitive now, really.
when you can basically close your eyes, throw a dart at any point of the movie, and like, oh yeah, he's probably like fighting guards. He's probably kidnapping somebody, and nothing like happens afterward. Like, if something like that big happens, like something needs to happen afterward, and nothing does. Nothing seems to like resolve. Like, I like that in that it's trying something different with its story structure, but at the same time it does not work at all, and the length of it doesn't do it any favors. And just like my movie Ride Your Wave, like, the climax did not feel necessary. Like, we've seen that climax already. We've seen him kidnap somebody. We've seen him do something crazy and try to fight guards. We've seen that already a bunch of times before, and that's the note you're going to end your movie on, and that's the taste that's left in my mouth after the movie. It really hurts that movie, like the climax as well. So, as I'm going to go low as well and go 3.5 on it. Was not a fan.
Take us home, Nathan. Hit the button.
So,
Where is it?
yeah,
Oh, we'll find it if he gives it 10.
you know, with you bringing up the climax of this movie and saying that it basically plays out quite similar to many other scenes throughout this movie, it kind of, with you discussing that, it kind of reminds me of how I find myself often feeling about comedy movies, where I feel like
it's unnecessary.
It's just like, a comedy movie is just a vehicle to play out jokes and play out scenes just over and over, just set up, knock them down over and over, the whole thing through. This movie is like that, but not quite a comedy.
But no
and it's
funny.
just like set up and knocked down of just a perpetual train of violence instead.
Yeah. They replaced the funny with violence.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it does have its funny bits, and I do think the climax.
Pun intended.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
There's some yucks.
No, I meant bits.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
I just wanted to hear you
so,
get more into it.
and I do think
Okay.
the climax
Dick.
was entertaining. It wasn't really a climax. I assume you're talking about the artist.
Yeah,
Oh,
the hardest
100%.
one.
Yeah. So that is the climax of the movie, but it is in no way different from any other point in the movie, other than the fact that it's a little bit longer. And that's about it.
Fun real life fact about it: that scene doesn't play out exactly how it happens in real life. In real life, he only kicks him out of the room because the guy farts, and apparently
I
Charles
saw
Bronson.
that. It was on Reddit.
It was on Reddit.
Yeah,
wasn't
it
I was
was.
reading the wiki, so it all
Yeah.
kind of came
Yep.
together on that. But yeah, he was so disgusted by it. He said, "Get him the fuck out!" He sends him along, and that's how that scene plays out. Which I think is just extra fun.
Yeah, like this real life Bronson character is fascinating.
It's so
And I'm
much more
sure
eccentric than
in
even
so
the movie
many
can portray.
ways.
Yeah.
It's like he's too funny to ever like do as Mason would
Characterized,
want
right? Yeah.
and just off him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm probably gonna land at a 6.
Okay.
I think it was entertaining at points. It was overly long, and
Just like Tom Hardy.
much like Clockwork Orange, I don't feel like I'm gonna.
Oh, there it is. Hit everybody a little bit differently.
I don't feel like it's a movie that I'm gonna like want to ever really go back and watch.
You'd be surprised.
Well, I just thought about, like, I think a story structure that would really have worked for a movie like this is going to be Silence of the Lambs, I think.
That's a really good movie.
Yeah, but think about it, like, the focus is on Hannibal Lecter, but
Yeah.
you
It's
still
not.
have this vehicle of, like, you know, the
There's
therapist.
a
not
plot.
about him,
Yeah, I was
though.
about to say he's the engine for the plot. Really, it's just like,
It's
we need
it's
things
the
figured out.
woman,
So
I can't remember who it is.
Yeah, it's
I can't either,
Clarice.
but, like, I just think, like, this movie would have been so much better if structured like something like
yeah,
that,
yeah,
where,
yeah.
like,
like he's just at the core of it, but there's
Yeah.
a whole plot
Yeah.
moving around.
But,
him
like,
instead
have a
of-
lot of them.
The
Still.
question there would be is, does the real life Bronson have a life story that could even be composed
True.
in that way?
No,
and you can tell that you would have to make up like a Green Mile and fit him in the middle of it, but that's also not what the movie's trying to do.
True.
So
No. I'm gonna say, like,
fictitious
that would be
versus-
something I would rather watch. Like,
Yeah.
a very interesting character at the center of it
Good
with
point,
Yeah.
though.
a
Yeah.
plot moving around.
I would agree. My last thought on this before we transition into the full wrap month of this month or whatever is that I think that what I think is probably interesting on the storytelling aspect of it is that it feels as though it was written as they were talking with him. He was like, and Bronson was just going off, oh, well, I was in this one fight, and then this happened, and then I was out, and then I went back in. I went back in, and they just wrote it like that, and then it filmed. Like, and I cut, like, it doesn't fit the best for a film, but I'm humored by it after the fact, because I'm like, there's no way. That's exactly how this happened. He just told them that, and they went literally what on he said. And it was like they didn't try to exploit it, and didn't seem to make it grander or bigger. Because he was literally, they showed footage of him on top of the place, like with other inmates
Yep.
tearing the stuff down. Like I love that part because it shows like, oh my god, it was actually more insane than this movie puts out. But anyway, that's my wrapping thought on that. Anyway,
So that's the wrap up of our discussion of the movie Bronson. We got 4 movies to discuss, though, as
bang,
end
boom,
of the month rotation. We have, of course, Waterworld, the one we recorded in the water.
Hopefully you saw it.
My movie, Roger Wave, which was supposed to be filmed in the water,
give it a
but
thumb.
we didn't. Yeah, okay.
yeah,
everybody
boy,
has to
sweet
do this.
dude, all right.
Then we have, do we call it record or rec?
Right.
Rec. All right, we have Rec over there, trying to start a spooky month.
Spooky.
And then we got Bronson
Yeah, cut!
doing away with it.
Quicker! Not on the crack.
Yes, we have that movie to go with it as well.
Easiest win I've ever had this month, guys.
So again, you cannot pick your own movie. That's very unfortunate because that 100% would have been mine. But who wants to go first?
I'll go.
All right.
Waterworld.
Yeah.
What?
I gave 2 5s and an 8 this month.
It was a great month for
Yeah.
Mason.
Yeah, solid. Thank you, Waterworld.
Yeah.
I actually enjoy that movie. It would have been tough, probably anyway,
Yeah.
because I do think that Waterworld would have been kind of the one that took it. But yeah, there's my pick.
Let me sum up what you just said. Like, the reason you picked Waterworld, I actually like that movie. The end.
Yeah,
That was it.
that was it. That shows you.
He did not have much to work with.
I got this next one.
Okay, go ahead.
I also picked Waterworld.
You bastards.
It's the best movie from this month, and I picked Bronson, and I like Bronson, but Waterworld was sweet,
And it was sweet.
and I was in the water for it.
Yeah, that was the best part.
Yeah,
No, that wasn't the best movie. That was definitely Roger Wave, but unfortunately I can't pick mine. Again, I was really wanting to give my movie a 10, but again, the climax was just too bad for me. Like, I adored that movie, but the climax was absolutely dreadful.
I guess you could say
What?
we sank that score. A little.
That was Caesar.
But I did not like Waterworld, and I very much did not like Bronson, and I have always liked Wreck. Definitely going to go with that one. Similar rationale to Mason's. I actually like that movie.
I just thought it
compared
was
to the
neat.
other ones.
Yeah, I
But
thought it was kind of cool. Yeah.
I've liked that movie since I was younger. I think it's one of the movies from the horror genre I actually like, which is not many. Like, teenage drama, I'm pretty much going to hate everything. The next is going to be horror, and I really don't like horrors, but Wreck, for some reason, like, it strikes that good balance for me of being, like, scary, but not, like psychological kind of scary. I don't know how to describe it, because, like, gruesome, like, Silent Hill, like, blood, guts, like, monsters, I don't care about that. That doesn't bother me at all. The psychological stuff does, and Wreck kind of rides that line very well of, like, kind of being in the middle of that.
It's
so
spooky, but
that's
not
why I
too
like it.
spooky. I like it.
Yeah, because, like the humans are the monsters. Yeah, no.
Well,
Very
I mean,
unique
that's every
idea.
zombie movie.
Yes.
Yeah, and I love zombie movies. I want to.
Zombie movies are action movies in disguise.
I should pick Dead Snow.
Yeah,
at some
Big Dead
point.
Snow.
Yeah.
Spooky season.
I love that
Don't
movie.
pick that stuff.
Well,
Okay, sorry,
so-
it's Nathan's
Better than
now.
Nightcrawler.
Speaking
It's
of,
not. I haven't even watched it.
I mean, you've got your win already, Nathan. So you can go ahead and parade around
Well,
if you'd
Take a victory lap.
so I'm gonna tie it up though,
Oh no. Oh, no.
What?
because my pick out
Oh
of
wait. Oh,
these
it's
three,
yeah, of course.
it's gonna be Wreck.
Oh wow.
I'll tell you what. I'll make this easier. I would go full-fledged for Waterworld, even above my movie. How about that?
Yeah.
I don't know. We both really like Wreck though. Like he. Really
But we
liked
both
that.
really
I
like Waterworld.
Well, so I mean, if I could pick Waterworld, I do like it's one that I've liked for a long time. It's in my wheelhouse, you know. It's a
It's post-dystopian.
post-apocalypse dystopian. It's Mad Max on water.
Yeah.
It is.
Like,
and it's
you-
less exhausting.
You couldn't pitch an easier throw at me than that.
Yep.
But that being said, Wreck was really solid. You know, it had my interest so much so that I decided to watch
the whole
Quarantine as well.
quadrilogy. Of it.
And
Yep.
boy, was I not into that one.
Mm-hmm.
I still have yet to watch the other Wreck movies, but I will get around to them at some point. So I'm okay to tie. And,
Yeah.
you know, speaking of spooky movies, I think it's time for me to announce what we'll be watching next.
Spooky
So
season.
That's our month rotation right there. We are starting from the top, and as Nathan has so lovely suggested, he's got the next pick. So go for it.
We are going to watch The Thing,
Which thing?
Isn't there two?
the
Date it.
one from 2011.
Thank you.
Okay.
The technical prequel, the what I would say highly accurate prequel to the original Thing.
What does that mean?
Means that things line up. Really well.
That means that pretty much shot for shot, this movie builds the scene that they later find in
Okay.
the location in the original movie.
That makes sense. You said like totally accurate. I was like, this is a life.
Yeah,
is
the
this
axe
like a
marks
real
are in the
life,
same spot.
real life
You've
event?
never been to
Uh-huh.
Antarctica, right?
Yeah,
You wouldn't
I
know.
have it.
Have you ever
They have penguins.
never like seen the Mountains of Madness or anything like that?
Nope. Have
No.
not.
Well,
Well,
tune in to watch the thing, and you'll
Maybe.
have seen him.
No,
I don't know.
maybe.
I don't know where you're going with that. To be
The
honest.
Mountains of Madness is like what inspired the thing.
Oh,
It's an H.P. Lovecraft novel, or not novel, but like short
No,
story.
I probably like.
Well,
Anyway,
we are going to be watching The Thing for next week. I don't think that's starting a spooky season, but we're starting off on a spooky note. whatever
Spooky
it is.
season.
Well, I guess we'll see. If you like this discussion and you like talking about Tom Hardy some more, please subscribe because it will come up again.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of the things in our wheelhouse. It will come up.
We're
So
knocking out his
like,
discography.
well, I was gonna
slowly
say,
and
like
surely.
at some
get Ryan
point,
Johnson
there's
built
no
next.
more movies
Good.
with Tom Hardy in them.
oh,
to be
there'll always
watched.
be more.
There's always
Switch to
more.
Ryan Gosling next.
There'll always be more. But subscribe if you want more Tom Hardy. Like it if you agree with my opinion and nobody else's. Comment if you want to agree with my opinion even more. I love that because nobody ever does. They should, but they don't. They're dumb. So that's the F Movie podcast for this week. Goodbye.
Bye.
Go home.
Bye now. Farewell.
Go ahead and comment on how you were stone faced the whole time.